fun, and educational. What's not to love? Welcome. Watch Mojo. MythBusters.
Fun and educational. What's not to love? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 20 best myths tested on MythBusters.
It may look like, but we're professionals. Do us favor. Don't try this at home.
It may not look like it, but we're professionals. Do us a favor. Don't try this at home. Whoa!
4. List. We'll be looking our favorite myths that were tested on throughout its seasons, nearly episodes.
For this list, we'll be looking at our favorite myths that were tested on MythBusters throughout its 17 seasons and nearly 300 episodes.
These can most informative, funniest, watch, surprising.
These can be the most informative, the funniest, the most fun to watch, and or the most surprising.
Generally, as long are enjoyable, they will.
Generally, as long as these myths are enjoyable and informative, they will be included.
Number. Mercury Fulminate. We all watched Breaking Bad. Saw blow up building with chunk of thought. Wonder if actually works. Is meth.
Number 20, Mercury Fulminate. We all watched Breaking Bad, saw Walt blow up a building with a chunk of mercury fulminate, and thought, I wonder if that actually works.
Well, no. Doesn't. Always. When would test exaggerated scenes, action from movies or television. So, points right away. Doing.
Well, no it doesn't. We always loved when MythBusters would test exaggerated scenes of action from movies or television, so points right away for doing that.
Primary. Explosive. Very sensitive. Shock. Impact. friction, heat, spice.
Mercury Fulminate is a primary explosive, and so it is very sensitive to shock and impact, friction, heat, as well as spark.
They. Testing. Myth. Was. Also. Lot. Including. Trib. Down. Rock. Quarry. Grant. Mechanical. Arm. Throwing. Charges. Superhuman.
The testing of the myth was also a lot of fun, including a trip down to a rock quarry, Grant building a mechanical arm, and throwing charges of Mercury Fulminate at superhuman speeds.
Says. White. Grams.
This is Walter White with 50 grams of Mercury Fulminate in 3, 2, 1.
Unfortunately. Totally. Busted. Did. Absolutely. Nothing. You. Need. Way. More. Than. What. Had. Cause. An. Explosion. Caliber.
Unfortunately, the myth was totally busted. Throwing the Mercury did absolutely nothing, and you need way more than what Walt had to cause an explosion of that caliber.
Spicy. Cures. Watching. Bombastic. Team. Tests. Practical. Everyday. Meds.
Number 19, Spicy Cures. Watching the bombastic myths is always fun, but we also love when the team tests practical, everyday myths.
How. Cure. Pain. Food. Hot chili. Mouth.
Like how to cure the pain from spicy food.
Chilies! The fans want us to test hot chili cures for a spicy mouth.
It's. Only. Audience. Puts. Rest. Forms. Bro. Science. Have. Heard. In. Other. Words. There. Busting. That's. Show. About.
It's not only informative to the audience, but it puts to rest all forms of bro science you may have heard. In other words, they're busting a myth, and that's what the show is all about.
Attempted. Pains. Using. Milk. Water. Beer. Tequila. Toothpaste. Petroleum. Jelly. Wasabi.
For this test, they attempted to cure the spicy pains using milk, water, beer, tequila, toothpaste, petroleum jelly, and wasabi.
Entertaining. Them. Cast. Supposed. Some. Worked. Extent.
It was very entertaining to watch them test all the supposed cures, and some actually worked to an extent, like beer, water, and tequila. But
End. Day. Beats. Comes. Relieving. Intense.
But at the end of the day, nothing beats milk when it comes to relieving intense spice.
Everybody. No. Best. Hot. Chili. Mop. Earwax. Candle. Really. Never. You're. Going. Get.
But doesn't everybody know that milk is the best cure for hot chili mouth?
Number 18, Earwax Candle. You really never know what you're going to get with MythBusters.
Makes. Episode. Disgusting. I'm. Interested. Please. Go.
It's what makes the show so entertaining. In this episode, we get an earwax candle.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
I'm interested. Please go on.
Literally. Made. Out. Bill. Teams. Movie. Uses. He. Has. Mold. Himself. Little. Dinner.
As in, a candle literally made out of the build team's earwax. The myth comes from the movie Shrek, as Shrek uses what he has to mold himself a little dinner candle.
Build. Their. Own. While. Burn. Degree. Reacted. Poorly. Traditional. Paraffin.
The build team created their own disgusting candle, and while it did burn to a degree, it reacted very poorly when compared to a traditional paraffin candle.
Beeswax. Burnt. Normally. Expected. Astounding. Thing. Human. Ear. Wax. Burned.
Paraffin and the beeswax burnt normally, as I would have expected. The really astounding thing is how well the human earwax burnt.
Turns. Took. Biological. Liberties. Then. Again. Maybe. Ochre. Your. Burns. Better. Humans.
Turns out that Shrek took some biological liberties. Then again, maybe ogre earwax burns better than humans.
Though. Composition. Opposed.
Nope, and that's down to the composition of candle wax as opposed to earwax.
Long chain. Hydrocarbons. Melt. Liquid. Form. Pulled. Wick. Wear. Slow. Controlled. Fashion.
The long-chain hydrocarbons in paraffin or beeswax melt and in liquid form get pulled up the wick where they burn in a slow, controlled fashion.
17. Curving bullet. Wanted characters. Curve bullets around obstacles. Simply by arms. Arc firing gun.
Number 17, curving a bullet. In the movie Wanted, characters manage to curve bullets around obstacles simply by swinging their arms in an arc while firing a gun.
Course. Absolute nonsense. Segment.
Of course, this is absolute Hollywood nonsense, but it makes for a really entertaining segment of MythBusters.
Originally tried performing feat themselves. 1. Could.
The build team originally tried performing the feat themselves, but unsurprisingly, no one could do it.
Didn't. Came. Robot. Speed. Vampires. Use. Magic. Telekinetic. Powers.
The bullet didn't curve.
So in came the robot with superhuman speed.
They're not vampires, they don't use magic, they don't have telekinetic powers to curve the bullet.
Strength. Abundance. Even. Barrel. Unbalanced. Still. Flew. Pin. Straight. Trajectory.
All it is superhuman speed and strength, and that we can do in abundance.
But even with superhuman arm speed, a derifled gun barrel, and unbalanced bullets, the bullets still flew in a pin-straight trajectory.
C. Laser. Shot. There's deviation whatsoever. Unequivocally.
I see the laser. It's a straight shot. There's no deviation whatsoever.
Superhuman strength, and we still have a straight shot.
Myth unequivocally busted.
Sometimes. Just. Can't. Break. Laws. Physics. Boring.
Sometimes you just can't break the laws of physics. Boring, we know.
Rocket. Surfing. Good. Time. Rockets.
Number 16, rocket surfing. You know it's going to be a good time when they break out the rockets.
Is it
True. Waves. Inside. Power. Surfboard. Claims. Possible. Surf. Scale. Engine. Propulsion.
Is it true, with no waves in sight, you can power a surfboard with a rocket?
This myth claims that it's possible to surf on still water using a rocket engine for propulsion.
Used. Buster. Help. Which. Probably. First. Somersault.
Awesome!
The team used Buster to help with this myth, which is probably a good thing considering the very first test saw Buster doing a somersault.
After. Modifications. Wider. Weight. Smaller. Motors. Ignitions. Both.
After performing some modifications, including a wider surfboard, more weight, smaller motors, and timed ignitions, both Tori and Buster managed to do some rocket surfing.
Incredible. However, meet specific parameters required. Significant. Darn. Hoping. Spare. Basement.
However, the test did not meet their specific parameters and required significant modifications. Turns out that you can't surf on still water with a rocket engine. Darn, we were really hoping to use that spare rocket engine we have in the basement.
Prison. Want. Dress. Old. Prisoners. Wall. Hair. Trying. Different. Tactics. Materials. Scaling.
Number 15, Prison Break. Sometimes you just want to watch the build team dress like old-timey prisoners and scale a wall using human hair. In this episode, the build team were trying different tactics and materials for scaling down a prison wall.
Moment. Truth. Escape. Ropes. Got. Toilet paper. Robe. School. Classic. Bedsheet. Great. Entertainment. Value. Results.
It's a moment of truth for our prison escape ropes. We got 100% human hair, toilet paper rope, and the old school classic, bedsheet.
And what made this episode so great was not just the entertainment value, but the surprising results.
Quickly. Successfully. Bed. Sheets. Found. Plausible. Make. Toilet. Paper. Pretty. Far.
Grant quickly and successfully scaled the wall using bed sheets, Tori found it plausible to make a rope out of toilet paper, and Carrie managed to scale the wall using a rope made from human hair.
It's looking pretty good so far, actually.
Holding. Australia's. Remained. Questionable. Act. Itself. Done.
Well, the hair is
It's holding up. That's great.
It's incredible how strong it is.
However, this one still remained questionable.
Finding. Much. Next. Impossible.
As finding that much human hair in prison would be next to impossible. Still, the act itself can be done.
Holy sheep, that's high!
Number
14. Surviving. Animal. Carcass. Famous. Star. Wars. Series. Seas. Cutting. Open. Stuffing. Keep. Him. Warm.
Number 14, surviving inside an animal carcass. One of the most famous scenes in the Star Wars series sees Han cutting open a tauntaun and stuffing Luke inside to keep him warm.
Think. Certainly. Hey. Desperate. Times. Call. Measures. Easily. Shows. Intriguing. Sculpts. Foam. Garnishes. Synthetic. Skin. Fur.
It's certainly disgusting, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. This myth is easily one of the show's most intriguing and entertaining, as Adam sculpts a tauntaun out of foam and garnishes it with synthetic skin and fur.
Big. Gobs. Goopy. Grimy. Tongue. Meanwhile. Craps. Artificial. Organs. React. Realistic. Manner.
Great big gobs of goopy, grimy tauntaun guts.
Meanwhile, Jamie crafts artificial organs to react in a realistic manner.
Yet. Went. Estimation. Hypothermia. Reaching. Internal. Temperature. Degrees.
Yeah, they went all out for this one. In their estimation, Luke would have died of hypothermia after reaching an internal temperature of 82 degrees.
Ended. Deeming. Thermoboy. Dropped.
They ended up deeming the myth plausible, as Thermoboy only dropped to 92 degrees.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Having. Car. Elevator. Seth. Oft. Forgotten. Green. Hornet. Contains. Wickedly. Ridiculously. Illogical. Scene. Drive. Front. Half. Shearing. Off. Back.
Number 13, having a car with an elevator. Seth Rogen's oft-forgotten The Green Hornet contains a wickedly entertaining but ridiculously illogical scene. The characters drive the front half of a car after shearing off the back with an elevator.
Immediately. Teams. Crushed. Ceiling. Level. Shoot. Hopes. Weaken. Structural. Integrity. Give. Fighting. Chance. Turning.
The myth was immediately busted when the build team's car was crushed at ceiling level.
We have to shoot this car with the hopes that we weaken the structural integrity that will give us the best fighting chance of cutting this car in half with an elevator.
Guest. Black. Beauty. Self. Splitting. Mechanism. Reserve. Fuel. Tank. Under. Hood. Toy.
However, guest star Seth Rogen declared that Black Beauty had some modifications, including a self-splitting mechanism and a reserve fuel tank under the hood.
Does it drive? Front-wheel drive.
Taken into account. Discovered. Fact. Dirt. Road.
When these modifications were taken into account, the team discovered that it was in fact possible to drive the front half of the car.
Doing it on the dirt road.
Bit. Safer. Control. There. 2. Damage. Super. Fantastic. Contained. Rather. Outcome.
We figured it would be a little bit safer, so if it did go out of control, there wouldn't be too much damage.
This myth was super entertaining to watch, it had a fantastic guest star, and it contained a rather surprising outcome. What's not to love?
Elephants. Afraid. Mice. Variety. Content. Mince. Purposes. Weird. Bits. Information. Asking.
Number 12, are elephants afraid of mice? We love MythBusters for the variety of content it contains. Sometimes they do grand movie myths, sometimes they do practical myths for everyday purposes, and sometimes they test weird bits of supposed information that have you asking,
Wait. Weave. Brought. Bucket. Full. Understand.
wait, is that actually true?
And we've brought a bucket full of mice.
Yes. I understand you have some elephants.
New. Statement. Any. Does. Sort. Travel. Africa. Flipped. Elephant. Dung. Reveal. Mouse. Underneath.
We've always heard that elephants are afraid of mice, but we never knew if the statement had any truth to it. Well, it does. Sort of. To test the myth, the MythBusters traveled to a reserve in Africa and flipped elephant dung to reveal a mouse underneath.
Come. Through. Here. Roll. Over. Ball. Release. Happens.
And we're hoping that the elephants will come through here on their way to the food, and at the right moment we'll roll over the ball of dung, release the mouse, and see what happens.
Eventually. Deemed. Avoided. Panicked. Fearful. Must. Easy. Anticipate. History.
They eventually deemed the myth plausible, as the elephants avoided the mouse but never panicked in a fearful or exaggerated manner.
In what must be the most easy-to-anticipate outcome in MythBusters history.
Crazy. Seems. Backs. Me. Flabbergasting.
But then, as crazy as it seems, the elephant backs away. The MythBusters, like me, are flabbergasted.
Escaping. Sinking. Talk. Knowing. Save. Life.
Number 11, escaping a sinking car. Talk about practical. Knowing how to escape from a sinking car may just save your life one day.
Peace. Store. Memory. Bank. Start. Opening. Door. Above. My. Glass.
And it's a great piece of information to store in the memory bank.
I'm going to try to start opening this door the moment I see the water get above my glass.
Now. Won't. Able. Until. Gets. Same. Point.
Now, if the myth is true, I won't be able to open that door until the water level inside the car gets to the same point.
Devoted. Entire. Commits. Surrounding. Cars. Horrifying. Incredibly. Helpful. Pressure. Ultimately. Equalizes. Opens. Swims. Surface.
The MythBusters devoted an entire episode to myths surrounding sinking cars, and the results were both horrifying to watch and incredibly helpful.
When the pressure ultimately equalizes, he opens the door and swims to the surface.
Late. Busts. Various. Manually. Window. Being. Set. Keys.
But it was too late.
Adam busts various myths. You can't manually roll the window down after being submerged, and you can't break it with a set of keys.
Confirmed. Few. Important. Knowledge. Upon. Waste. Interior. Completely. Flooded. Hammer.
But he also confirmed a few important bits of knowledge. You can escape the car immediately upon impact with the water, when the water is up to your waist, and when the interior of the car is completely flooded. You can also use a window-breaking hammer.
Suggest. Buying. Underwater. Emergency.
We suggest buying one.
They tried the underwater emergency hammer first.
Oh!
10. Bifurcated. Boat. Split. Clean. Middle. Hitting. Channel. Marker. Exciting. Question.
Number 10, bifurcated boat. Is it possible for a boat to be split clean down the middle after hitting a channel marker? It's an exciting question, but it's even more exciting to see it tested.
Question. Fans.
The build team first tested
weren't. Result. Demanded. Instead. Land. Wooden. Lake. Steered. Directly.
However, the fans weren't having this result and demanded that they test the myth on water instead of on land. They placed a wooden channel marker in a lake and steered a boat directly into it.
Surprisingly. Sustained. Sunk. Once. Albeit. Destructive.
The myth was sunk once and for all, albeit in a very fun and destructive manner.
Importantly. Because. Shocking. Split second. Tables. Strip. Mythity. Live. Name.
Important because in that shocking split-second impact, the tables on this myth turned. The marker bifurcated, and the mythity split refused to live up to its name once again.
Shooting. Hat. Someone's head. Scene. Western. Video. Games. Character. Draws. Lightning. Shoots. Cowboy. Someone else's.
Number 9. Shooting a hat off someone's head. You may have seen it in Western movies or video games. One character draws their gun with lightning speed and shoots a cowboy hat off someone else's head.
Hard. Guys. Handguns. Select. Army. Colt. Revolver. Work. Fail. Winchester. Lever action. Rifle.
Our Hollywood hard guys use handguns, so Adam and Jamie select an 1860 Army Colt revolver. If that doesn't work, they'll try a Winchester lever-action rifle.
Funny. Visual. Particularly. Interesting. Period. Weapons.
It's a funny visual, but is there any truth to it? Unfortunately not. The myth's testing is fun to watch though, particularly for the interesting period weapons.
Hilarious. Fly. Dummies. Barely. Budged.
It also had a hilarious result. Not only did the hat not fly off the dummy's head, it barely even budged when shot.
Those rims hardly budge. Reason. Simple. Strikes. Small. Projectile. Traveling. 1,000 per second. Encounter. Enough. Resistance.
But those brims hardly budge. And the reason is simple. When it strikes the hat, a small projectile traveling at around 1,000 feet per second doesn't encounter enough resistance.
Pistol. Transfer. Energy. Move. Deciding. Blue. Shotgun. Killed. Dummy.
Pistol and rifle bullets do not transfer enough energy to move a hat. Deciding to be funny, the MythBusters blew the hat off the dummy's head with a shotgun. And it worked, but it also killed the dummy.
Silver. Screen. Unquestionably.
Now that's more like what we see on the silver screen.
Myth unquestionably busted.
8. Motorcycle. Viral. Videos. Obvious. across, golden, nugget, driving.
Number 8. Motorcycle on water. Sometimes the MythBusters test viral videos, most of which are obvious nonsense, but sometimes you come across a golden nugget, like a motorcycle driving across the surface of a lake.
Seem catastrophic combination. Yet according take freeway aqua side.
Motorbikes and water seem like a catastrophic combination. Yet according to this myth, if you take the lake at freeway speeds, you could burn aqua all the way to the other side.
Demonstrating intelligence, meticulous, scientific process, performed, preliminary, remote controlled, hanging, wheel, speedboat.
Demonstrating their intelligence and meticulous scientific process, Adam and Jamie performed a few preliminary tests, like driving a remote-controlled toy motorcycle on water and hanging a motorcycle wheel off a speedboat.
Clear. Riding.
It's clear that the wheel is riding the water, which is great for the myth.
Watching.
Fascinating. Proper. Road. Allow.
Watching them work really is fascinating. For the test proper, Jamie successfully rode the motorcycle over 300 feet of open water.
But will that allow him to burn aqua all the way across?
Arguably. Outcomes. Proves. Accomplished. Ask. Questions.
This is arguably one of the most surprising outcomes in the show's history, and it proves that you can never know what can be accomplished until you ask questions.
7. Massive. Lego. Find. Diameter.
Number 7. Massive Lego Ball. On what other television show will you find a 7-foot diameter ball made of Lego?
Foot. 5 million. Pieces. Pushed. Hill. Hit. Without. Sustaining.
The myth is that a 7-foot diameter ball made from 5 million pieces of Lego can be pushed down a hill and hit a car without sustaining damage.
Collision. Carnage. Giant. Every. Facet.
Could you really roll it so easily? And would a collision with a car really cause no carnage?
And while it was very fun to watch the build team, well, build a giant ball of Lego, nearly every facet of this myth was busted.
They've employed super blocks.
They've employed a Lego army to build 3,600 super blocks to make the ball.
Complete. Running. Tiny. Containing. Legos. Weigh. Tons. Pushing. Pounds.
But with half the ball complete, they're running out of their 500,000 tiny pieces.
A ball containing 5 million Legos would weigh 10 tons, so pushing it is out of the question. The 7-foot ball they created was 3,000 pounds and made of 1 million Legos.
Broke apart shortly. Launch collapsed within 2 weeks. Man-hours. Put bricks together. Seconds. Tier.
Unfortunately, it broke apart shortly after launch and the myth collapsed with it.
2 weeks and nearly 1,000 man-hours to put 1 million bricks together and just 10 seconds to tear them apart.
Gone. Remain. Why? Share. Jack. Logistics. Sharing.
Number 6, the Titanic door. Long after we're gone, the question will remain. Why didn't Rose share the door with Jack? The logistics of sharing the door were explored on MythBusters, and the results were rather surprising.
Rose. Perched. Wood. Wasn't. Buoyancy. Support. Model. Single. Doll. Added. Foregoing. Models. Savage. Struggling. Stabilize. Bored. Looks. Watery. Grave.
Rose is perched on a piece of wood and Jack is not. Because there wasn't enough buoyancy to support both of them?
The model door sunk every single time that the Jack doll was added. Foregoing models, Adam and Jamie decided to test the myth themselves.
With Jack Savage struggling to stabilize himself and the board, the myth looks destined for a watery grave.
Initially. Trouble. Staying afloat. Later. Jacket. Underside. Greater. Stay. Additional. Difference. Longer. Floundering. Sitting.
They initially had trouble staying afloat on the board, but later tied Jamie's life jacket to the underside to allow for greater buoyancy. And with this, they both managed to stay afloat.
The additional buoyancy has made a massive difference. They're no longer floundering around, but sitting pretty.
Ready. Nap. Her. Rescue. Utilize. Life jacket. Amidst. Panic. Unbearably. Freezing. Temperatures. Entirely. She.
In fact, so pretty that Rose is ready to nap her way to the 63-minute rescue.
If Rose had thought to utilize her life jacket amidst the panic and unbearably freezing temperatures, it's entirely possible that both she and Jack could have survived.
Concerned. Airplane. Specifically. Skydiving. Related.
Number 5, Point Break myths. Episode 94 concerned various airplane myths, specifically skydiving-related ones stemming from the movie Point Break.
3. Catching. Air. Streamlining. Body. Conversation. Free falling. Former.
3 myths were tested: catching up with someone in the air by streamlining your body, holding a conversation while skydiving, and free falling for 90 seconds from 4,000 feet. The former was confirmed true.
Streamlined approach provides less area position, allowing terminal velocity catch up. Skydiver Nick Bales already.
As the streamlined approach provides less surface area than the traditional skydiving position, allowing for a greater terminal velocity.
At the moment catch-up skydiver Nick Bales, Tori was already 3,000 feet away.
Assuming top miles hour ladder myths.
But by assuming the bullet position, Nick hits an incredible top speed of 250 miles per hour.
However, the latter 2 myths were busted.
Sound. Brushing. Ground. 30. Experiment. Hole.
The sound of rushing air made conversation impossible, and a dummy dropped at 4,000 feet hit the ground after just 30 seconds.
You know, with our first experiment, we pretty much busted the whole Point Break skydiving scene. I
mean anything.
You wouldn't have much time to do anything from 4,000 feet.
Especially blast. Sky. Dive.
The results weren't super surprising, especially the conversation one, but it was a blast watching the team skydive.
4. Demolition Derby. Continue. Theme. Let's. Crashes. Loves.
Number 4, Demolition Derby. To continue the Hollywood theme, let's take a look at some car crashes. MythBusters loves testing car-related myths.
Particular. Wonderful. Mix. Stunts.
But one episode in particular, Demolition Derby, is a wonderful mix of Hollywood stunts.
Toss. Fruit. Salad. Involves. Crashing. Things. Stands. Locked. Chain link. Gates. Camper. Trailer.
Talk about a tossed fruit salad!
Most of the episode involves crashing cars into things, like fruit stands, locked chain link gates, and a camper trailer.
Destroyed. Stand. Undeniably.
The test car was completely destroyed after crashing into the fruit stand and camper, and those myths were undeniably busted.
Think. Windshield.
I think even if you did make it through the fruit stand, you can't really see so well out the windshield.
Fence. Rig.
However, they found it possible for a car to break through a chain link fence and successfully drive underneath a big rig.
Laying. Grenade. You've. Before.
Number 3. Laying on a grenade. You've seen it before in various action movies.
Heroic. Sacrifices. Ensuring. Demise. Survival. Group.
A heroic character sacrifices themselves by laying on a live grenade, ensuring their own demise but the survival of their group.
Tears. Actual. Ballistics. Gel. Detonated.
It can move us to tears, but is there any actual truth to it? To test the myth, the team brought in a ballistics gel dummy and detonated a grenade under its body.
Leading. Man. Laid. His. Line. Supporting. Actors. Tall. Tail.
Our leading man is laid on the grenade, his body and the myth on the line. If his 3 supporting actors survive, this tall tale will be confirmed.
Obliterated. Dummies. Unaffected. Non-lethal. Injuries.
The grenade obliterated the gel dummy, but the surrounding dummies were unaffected, save for one that received non-lethal injuries.
Trope. Basis. Reality. Might. Buddies.
Turns out that this particular Hollywood trope has some basis in reality.
This looks like he might have really saved his buddies here.
Doubt. Seeing. Blown. Grenades.
There's no doubt about it. This movie myth is looking confirmed.
It's an interesting result, and seeing dummies blown up by grenades will never not be enjoyable.
Flying. Gate. Ever. Strapping. Attempt.
Number 2. Rocket car. The MythBusters came literally flying out the gate. The first myth ever tested saw Adam and Jamie strapping rockets to a car in an attempt to make it fly.
Ambitious. Award. Winner. Who. Strapped. Jado. Chevy. Impala. Tires. Striking. Cliff.
They are certainly ambitious. The myth comes from a supposed Darwin Award winner, who strapped a JATO rocket to his Chevy Impala, blew out the tires, and flew for 1.4 miles before striking a cliff.
Equivalent. Close.
Adam and Jamie created the equivalent of one JATO rocket and strapped it to an Impala, but the car never even came close to 300 miles per hour.
Revisited. Anniversary. Special. Airborne.
They later revisited the myth for the 10th anniversary special, and while they did hit 200 miles per hour, they weren't able to get the car airborne.
Insane.
That was insane. 1 second the car was there, and the next second it was gone.
Cement. Truck. Dynamite. Concrete.
Number 1. The cement truck explosion. The myth was simple. Can dynamite clear out dried concrete from a truck?
Started. Sticks. Dislodging. Dry.
It started out easy enough, with the equivalent of 1.5 sticks of dynamite dislodging the dried concrete.
Feel. Revising. Statements. Huge. Amount. Creek. Wild.
I feel like revising my former "this myth is busted" statement. I mean, it's a huge amount of crete we're bringing out of here.
But then, things got wild.
Experts. Loaded. Explosives. Vaporized.
Just for fun, the team brought in FBI experts and loaded a concrete truck with 850 pounds of explosives. The result was the show's most iconic explosion, as the truck was completely vaporized.
Remains. Fan favorite. Encapsulates. Everything. Such. Joy. Experience.
This segment remains a fan favorite, and for good reason. It encapsulates everything that makes MythBusters such a joy to experience.
Legitimate. Goofing. Boom. Grandest. Blockbusters. Shame.
There's legitimate myth testing with interesting results, Adam and Jamie goofing off, and a massive boom that puts even the grandest Hollywood blockbusters to shame.
Agree. Pics. Check. Recent. Sure. Subscribe. Ring. Bell. Notified.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.